Hello everyone, Ace here, and today let's talk a little bit about news. Specifically the news that Hasan Piker and Cenk Uygur have both been banned from the UK over what appears to be allegations of anti-Semitism. And there are a few things I'd like to say about this. First of all, it is rather amusing that the same journalists and activists who only a few years ago were actively pushing the UK to censor speech they didn't like are now so very unhappy that they get to live in the UK that they have built. The UK that, statistically speaking, is more likely to arrest you for your speech than communist China. The UK in which the police investigate so-called non-crime hate incidents. In other words, the police will actively investigate you, and these investigations will be sent to any future potential employers you have for daring to have an opinion. And things such as flying the English flag are enough to get you hit with a non-crime hate incident in the UK for the record. All of this is to say that the left are now complaining that they've been targeted by the very system that they themselves built. So yes, there is, at the end of the day, a level of amusement to be had from the left receiving the exact same treatment they demand be enforced upon everyone else. From them having to face the consequences of their decision to turn the UK into an authoritarian shithole. Does this, however, make up for the fact that the UK is now an authoritarian shithole that routinely violates human rights? No, it doesn't. It is absolutely tragic what the UK has been turned into at this point. In all honesty, the UK should embrace the values of free speech and reject the distinctly authoritarian and uncivilized concept of censoring people on the grounds that what they say arbitrarily constitutes hate speech, somehow. There is another element to this, though, that I do feel is worth bringing up. Because, for what it's worth, an actual legitimate argument can be made for why Hasan Piker shouldn't be allowed into the UK, because the man's conduct far extends beyond mere words. He's actively tortured his dog on stream, multiple times, and in multiple different barbaric ways. That alone, I would believe, is reasonable grounds. If that was the reason the UK used for banning Hasan Piker, and had they not also banned Cenk Uygur as well, I would not be making this video. But of course, that is not the reason provided. Instead, the reason appears to be anti-Semitism for both individuals that were banned. In other words, the UK has banned both men for having problematic opinions. And the ultimate punchline here is that Hasan Piker, even ignoring his actions with regards to his dog, has done far worse than say naughty things about Israel. He actively promotes terrorism. He actively supports terrorist organizations such as Hamas. He has gone on record defending the actions of Al-Qaeda by stating that the US deserved 9/11. He recently organized an event in collaboration with the Cuban government, the same Cuban government that was recently labeled as a state sponsor of terrorism. Something that, by the way, has finally caused him to get indicted in the US. There's plenty of actually legitimate reasons for which he could have been banned from the UK, but of course the UK chose none of those options. Moving on to the case of Cenk Uygur, I am not as familiar with some of his awful takes as I am with Hasan Piker's awful takes, and so I can only speak on what I've actually seen, and judging from that, I haven't seen anything of his conduct that I believe should warrant a ban from the UK. Oh sure, he might have plenty of dumb opinions, but I haven't seen anything approaching what Hasan Piker has said or done. There is one ultimate final piece of irony I should bring up, though, and that's the fact that, for what it's worth, technically these men could still go to the UK if they really wanted. All they'd have to do is hitch a ride with the boat migrants, because let's be honest, there is no way the UK is going to check them there. It would be a really funny plot twist, and an excellent way of just giving the middle finger to the UK at that stage. And let's be honest, it would also highly encourage the UK to reconsider its position of just letting anyone into the country, so long as they do it on a boat. Do I actually expect Hasan Piker and Cenk Uygur to have the balls to actually do that? No, I don't. But I would actually encourage them doing that at that point. It would at least be really funny.